Welcome in, everybody, to another edition of Keeping Up with Oak Mountain Athletics, live from Beef O'Brady's, Brook Highland, right off 280. Make sure to come by Beef O'Brady's, check them out. Great food, great service, great sports atmosphere up here. And each and every Wednesday night, we are live with Keeping Up with Oak Mountain Athletics. 99-cent wings up here, buy one, get one boneless wings. All that you can ask for up here at Beef O'Brady's. We appreciate their support all throughout this season. Joined by head football coach, Coach Tyler Crane. And Coach, you guys took on Thompson this past week. And, I think that with how the beginning of the season went for this Thompson football program, it's kind of similar to Hoover. People just kind of started writing them off. No, it's just not the same Thompson, not the same team. Obviously, they still got some really good football players on the other side. You guys went in a little short-handed this past Friday night against this team, and obviously that was just a little bit too much for you guys to overcome. But how did you feel about you talked about playing hard against Hoover and going out and getting after them. Did you feel like you got the same effort from your guys on Friday night?
I mean, I thought we went out and we battled as hard as we could. Obviously being short-handed in some spots, it may have not have looked the way we wanted it to look, but, having a sophomore receiver and a freshman receiver getting a lot of playing time, it was good to see those guys really step up and make a few plays. We also had a couple guys playing on defense that may have not played a lot up to this point this season, but it was good for those guys to get out there and, see them and against a really good quality football team and, really, again, just keep laying the bricks and the foundation to, for, better and brighter days. But, I know a lot of times you can't really look at the record to see, everything that you want to see, but it is really encouraging to see these young guys continue to develop and continue to get better. And, hats off to Thompson. They have an unbelievable football team. They have unbelievable players, and they utilize them, very well. They look a little bit different offensively on what they do this year than what they've done in the past. They're a little bit more run heavy and can kind of, wear you down in that style of game now. So I think they're a little bit more balanced, which is, good for those guys. And, I think they're going to be a force to be reckoned with.
When you look at this Thompson team, we talked a lot about Peter Woods this past week, blocking him up front. Now getting to see him up close and personal again this year. I mean, what stood out to you about his play on Friday night?
I mean, he's a big old boy. But no, he, it's funny. You see kids like that, and you think that, they're going to be kind of high and mighty or whatever. But, I had a chance to speak with him, and he's such a great kid. Very well spoken. I mean, just unbelievable young man. I think, Clemson's getting a heck of a football player with him. I hope he does great. Obviously, we won't get another chance to play him, so I hope he goes and has an unbelievable career. And so, Tony Mitchell and the rest of those guys, I hope they all go and have unbelievable careers, and love to see what they get to do at the next level.
We talked about the young guys. I mean, just, getting this experience against a team of that caliber, going back-to-back weeks, Hoover and then Thompson, the two top teams in this region. Yeah. Where do you think that's going to benefit them in the long run of having to kind of go through that, go through the physicality of playing Hoover and then the physicality of playing Thompson the very next week?
I keep going back to, this year and last year, and, it's kind of the reference points for, where we are and what we've been able to do so far. And, a lot of those guys who played last year had been through the gauntlet a little bit and had seen the good side and had seen the bad side. For these seniors, haven't really been through the bad side of it. And that's great. You never want a class to have to go through the bad side of something. Having the last 2 years go 7-5, as a sophomore, the last kind of not maybe real good season for them was their freshman year. So, it's been really good to see those guys continue to fight, but it's also been good to have to deal with some adversity and things like that. For the younger guys, going through that adversity right now and seeing, hey, these are the things that we've got to fix for us to be better, and these are the things that we're going to have to do to improve. But at the same time, playing the Hoovers and Thompsons, and I always kind of reference it back to like what Alabama and LSU and those teams were there for a while. Alabama is like the pinnacle where everybody wants to get. So everybody is striving to get to that level. Now, is it possible to get everybody to that level? Probably not. But we're going to continue to chip away and chip away and chip away until we can finally get in that realm of being able to compete. And if you're able to compete and you've got a chance to win ball games, that's all you can ask for going into the fourth quarter. Right now, we're a little bit shorthanded in spots, and that's okay. But seeing some of these young guys who are going to be really big contributors for us down the road, it's really nice seeing those guys be able to get out there and compete.
When you look at some of these young guys, where have you seen probably the most improvement from the guys that have had to play consistently throughout the season?
To be honest with you, there's really not one particular position. I mean, I could go across the board. I mean, I think LaCameron Meadows is going to be a really good football player. He's a freshman running back, and he got in the game the other night and did some really good things. Some of the young offensive linemen, Cordell Williams, who you've had a chance to speak with before, he continues to get better and better. On the defensive side of the football, Cole Kelly, Mason Mitchell, Robert Yoder, Caleb Jaworski. I mean, we play a plethora of young guys who, in reality, like we said before, should be getting ready to suit it up on Monday nights and not have to really worry about that right now. But, it's kind of trial by fire. Next year it ought to move a lot slower for them, and they'll be ready. And, another off season, they'll, gain 10, 15, 20 pounds, and, they're not going to look like the same kids this time next year. So we're excited about the future. I know that there's probably people out there who, think, well, it's, here we go again. But at the same time, we're playing 14, 15 sophomores, 3 or 4 freshmen here and there. Like, people can say what they want to, but there's brighter days ahead.
When you look at the last 2 weeks, do you feel like from the younger guys there was any of, we're playing Hoover, we're playing Tom, just knowing what these two teams have accomplished in the past and, just kind of maybe making the game a little bigger than it probably was?
Yeah, there's always going to be that. Anytime you play teams of that caliber, you're going to have some doubt in your head. And we tell our kids, all it takes is one time. It takes one time to beat a team like that, or compete really close with, and then you have a little bit of confidence about yourself. And I think in the last few years we've been able to do that with Hoover, and it's kind of built a little bit of confidence. Fortunately for me, the last time I was here, we were on the last team to beat Thompson, and those kids at that time, they didn't look at Thompson the way people look at them now. So they weren't afraid. So they went and fought with everything they had, and they come out victorious. Our kids have just got to continue to work and start building that confidence back and giving themselves an opportunity to feel like, hey, yeah, we know that they're really good, but so are we. And, it's been really good to see kids like, we got a couple juniors like Sawyer Smith and Jackson Blackwell, Jacob Porco. Those juniors have done a really good job of really trying to, take ownership of what we're kind of doing to lay that foundation going into next year. So it's been really good to see those kind of guys step up along with everybody else around them. So, I like I said, I think there's brighter days, but credit to our seniors to continue to fight and continue to work, and again, continue to lay the foundation that is going to carry on for years to come.
Talk about the seniors, and not to act like you're just knocking them to the side because you're not going to get into the postseason, anything like that, but when you look at these last few weeks of the year now, does this almost become just an extended spring practice time for you guys where you focus on practice a ton, getting reps, and trying to improve for the future?
I guess you could look at it that way in some parts, but to me, the biggest thing right now is, we talked with the seniors about it, it's a 2-game season. We've got 2 games to go out there and play with everything that we have. Don't worry about anything that's happened up to this point. Go out and play your last 2 high school football games, for your buddies, for the people around you, for the ones who's been there with you the longest. You ain't got to play for us coaches. You ain't playing for whatever, what the people around you is the ones you need to play these last couple games for. And we told the young guys, your job is to do everything in your power to make sure these guys leave with a good taste in their mouth. We got Vestavia and Spain Park last 2 weeks. Both really good football teams with really good players and can, beat you at any moment. But I think, hopefully our guys see the writing on the wall and go, you know what? I may not ever get a chance to play this game again, and I've got 2 more times to suit up and get after it, and I'm going to do the best I can.
When you look at the last 2 weeks, how important do you feel like it is for these younger guys to have the taste of winning going into the offseason and have that to look back on to kind of stay motivated going throughout the summer? I mean, obviously they're going to be motivated, but just have that feeling of winning and knowing that, hey, this hard work is going to pay off in this way.
Yeah. I think it's important, but I also think a lot of them have seen on Monday nights what we're capable of. Having so many guys who don't get to play on Monday nights that should be because they're having to be starters on Friday night, a lot of them come up to me and they're like, Coach, man, just imagine if we got to play in that game, and I think that they say it. And it's funny, Friday night when we were coming off the field, obviously I'm upset by how the game went, it's because I'm never going to be okay with getting beat. But I was walking by a group of young guys that were freshmen and sophomores who had played a little bit, and I could hear them saying things like I used to hear some of the other guys say, hey, we can't let this happen again. Hey, we've got to get in the weight room and get bigger. Hey, we got to really take these next couple practices and get better. And I tried not to walk away from it. I tried to make it look like I wasn't listening, but I could hear them saying things like that. And it, even in a dark moment like that it was a little bit of brightness to hear those guys really take ownership and say, hey, we can't let this happen again. Or, we got to make sure we change things around here. And that kind of keeps you motivated to keep going.
Will Odell being a sophomore, you talked about freshman and sophomore being out there playing wide receiver. How key will that be for them building that chemistry with each other going forward throughout their careers?
It's going to be huge. I mean, and the same thing can be said for the defensive guys. Seeing the speed of the game as a sophomore, it's moving at 1,000,000 miles an hour. But, after you've done it for an entire year, when you come back as a junior, it's going to be that much slower. You're going to be more confident. You're going to know what you're doing. The game is going to be a little bit slower to you, so you can make calls and stuff like that. But the same thing goes with Will and those guys on offense. If you're a receiver and you're trying to run a slant, and let's just say Tony Mitchell is covering you, well, he's probably a little bit stronger and faster than you are right now, so he might beat you to a point. So that may turn into an interception or a deflection or something like that. This time next year and the year after, now you're 20, 25, 30 pounds heavier and a little bit faster and stuff like that. Now you're making that play. The ball is getting there where it needs to be. Will's arm is going to do nothing but continue to get stronger. Offensive line, we're going to continue to do nothing but get bigger and stronger. So it looks sometimes it looks bleak at certain moments, but you got to realize, like, as long as we keep working, as long as we keep fighting, as long as we keep building, better days are coming.
You look at this Vestavia team, 4 losses this year, but it's 10 points to Mountain Brook, 6 points for the backup quarterback to Hoover, 20 points, with their quarterback getting hurt against Thompson, 8 points to Hewitt this past week.
Right.
They've been in every single game. Where have you seen the most improvement from last year with their group to now year one under Coach Evans this year?
I mean, they're very, just kind of breaking them down, they're very senior heavy on defense.
They got 42 seniors this year.
Yeah. We don't have 42 seniors, and that's very impressive. But those guys have done a very good job of really working and learning. And offensively, they snap the ball every 7-8 seconds. Their defense is very multiple. They're all over the place doing different things. Hats off to those coaches at Vestavia. They do a fantastic job. Coach Evans, unbelievable defensive-minded guy. Coach Rainey, defense coordinator. The guys they have on offense are unbelievable. Like, they do it right, and they put their guys in very good positions to be successful. We're continuing to grow our staff and trying to get to that point where, we can coach our guys to be just as good as those guys. But it helps, like you said, when you got 40-something seniors, that's a big deal. I didn't know that. I'm glad you told me that. But no, that's unbelievable that they've been able to do the things that they've done this year, and it's hats off to those guys for continuing to get better. And it's going to be a hard football game. They're really, really good on both sides of the football, and if you don't execute, it can be a long night for you.
Where does them having their starting quarterback over the guy that had to play against, Thompson in the second half, Hoover in that full game, where does he make the biggest difference?
Man, what a runner. Like, he is one tough rascal. He makes really good decisions. He runs behind his pads. He's very slippery. I kind of compare him a little bit to the kid that's at Hewitt-Trussville, but maybe a little bit thicker. But he can definitely hurt you if you don't keep him, corralled up. But he has an ability to make a play if you're not ready.
When you look at how you guys are going to have to play that, knowing that he is a runner, can run, does that change the way that you have to go about attacking the quarterback and getting after him with pass rush and things like that on Friday?
I think it's just you got to be very detailed in what you do. You've got to be assignment, very good on your assignments. The things that I tell our guys all the time is, if you will play hard and you can get your assignment and alignment right, you have a chance to be successful. If you don't do that, and you're not where you need to be, and you're not playing at 100 miles an hour, you're going to end up in a bad spot. So I think, again, and I've said it all year, if we'll play hard, if we'll be where we need to be, and we'll just continue to learn to execute, I think we'll be okay. If we don't, we're going to be in a tough situation. But I like where we are at mentally this week. I like how our guys have, there's so many opportunities for our kids to shut down. When you've lost, 6 games in a row, it's easy to shut it down and just say, well, it is what it is, and, that's that. But I don't think we've had a lot of that. I'm not saying we haven't had any of that, but I'm not saying that we've had a lot. I think a lot of our kids are still fighting really hard, and they're going to continue to fight no matter what. And we just have to be, very encouraging to our kids and continue to teach the process and continue to get them better each and every week.
Coach, again, really appreciate you taking the time to join us here this week, keeping up with Oak Mountain Athletics. Good luck to you guys as you guys take on Vestavia this week, and look forward to being right back here next week to wrap up the season and start looking ahead to the last game of the year.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it.
We'll be back with more here on Keeping Up with Oak Mountain Athletics, live from Beef O'Brady's Brook Highland right after this. Beef O'Brady's Brook Highland, located off Highway 280, is a proud supporter of Oak Mountain Athletics and the Keeping Up with Oak Mountain Athletics show. Come out each Wednesday night at 6 p.m. to see the show filmed live on location with various guests involved in Oak Mountain Athletics and enjoy great food and a great atmosphere, including 99-cent wings. Come on out to Beef O'Brady's Brook Highland and support the Oak Mountain Eagles. Welcome back in. Keeping Up with Oak Mountain Athletics, live from Beef O'Brady's Brook Highland. Caleb Brooks now joined by sophomore member of the football team, Cole Kelly. And Cole, for you this year, you've gotten a lot of early playing time. Coaches talked about it. A lot of the guys in your class should be playing on Monday nights. Instead, you're playing on Friday nights. Getting out there playing varsity level football, especially in this region, the highest football that you can get really here in this whole entire state, where do you feel like it's really benefited you the most throughout this year?
I think it's been good. I'm learning a lot from the older guys like Devin Moss, Garrett. They're doing a really good job of letting us know what we're doing right and wrong, and it's going to prepare me for the long run. And it's I got to go fast, learn everything super fast. So it's just going to come easy junior and senior year. And Devin, like I said, Devin and Garrett, they're teaching me what it's like to be a leader. So whenever I do get upperclassman level, that I'll know where I need to step in and stuff like that.
When you look at the beginning of the year and then now playing at this point in the season, how much do you feel like the game has kind of slowed down for you back there in the secondary?
Oh, it was crazy at the beginning of the year, because it's a lot learning all the reads and stuff. And it's definitely slowing down. It's just going to get easier, though.
When you look at this region, everybody talks about it every year about how this is the strongest region in the state. It's got the best teams in the state and all that. After now playing through most of these teams and seeing a lot of them, what makes this the strongest region in the whole entire state?
I think it's every one of these teams, they do everything right. So no matter what we do, we got to make sure that we're doing like the little things right, because it comes down to like not messing stuff up, because we got the athletes, but it just takes us not messing things up, doing everything how we're supposed to, and stuff like that.
You know, Coach talked about how he overheard some guys in your class that were talking about, you know, hey, we know we've got to get bigger, we've got to get stronger and all that.
Oh, yes,
do you kind of sense from your class that, you know, hey, there's a lot of belief here. We just know that we have a lot of work to get where we want to be one day?
For sure. We saw some of those boys on Thompson. I know one in particular, his name's Anquan Fegans, and he's a big kid, and he's our age. And that just goes to show, like, how much bigger we have to get. Like, we're good right now, but like we can't settle with that. Like we got to keep getting bigger, keep getting stronger, because like we know where we have to get to. We saw that last Friday night.
When you look at Thompson, what were they able to do really, really well offensively that, you know, gave you guys some issues on the defensive side of the ball?
Like I said, they did everything right. They had athletes and like the receivers, everything. They were just we couldn't shoot.
It's all good. I mean, it was hard to keep up with them. I mean, they got some really good athletes out there and got some really good players, and obviously they gave you guys some issues. But, you know, we talked about your class, the belief that your class has and things like that. How important does that now make these last 2 weeks of the season, the practice sessions, these 2 games, and you guys focusing on everything and knowing that these 2 weeks are going to lead into spring and lead into what we're going to do as a group next year?
Yes, sir. Nothing changed these last 2 weeks. We got to just keep doing the same thing we've been doing, keep working, and just play these last 2 games like for the seniors, because these are their last 2 games. Like, they may say that we're just the sophomores, but we're playing all as a team, so we got to do whatever it takes to win as a team, help the seniors out, just have fun for the most part, because that's what's most important.
You're a dual sport athlete. You play 2 sports, and so when you look at getting this experience playing football this year at the varsity level, things like that, how much can that benefit you if you get the same type of opportunity on the baseball field as well this year?
I think it helps a lot, because like multi-sport athletes, like it helps you be smarter in different things. Like it helps like work different muscle groups and stuff like that. But for baseball season, I still need to keep working and getting bigger. Don't need to stop with the weight room and stuff, because I know it's not as much in baseball, but I think it helps a lot.
Man, listen, really appreciate you taking the time to come here and join us on Keeping Up with Oak Mountain Athletics. You know, it's been a great year for you, and you getting to be out there this year, and we wish you nothing but luck these last 2 weeks. Looking forward to seeing how y'all finish out the year, and hopefully y'all can go out there and go finish off this year on a high note with a couple W's.
Yes, sir.
We'll be back with more with Keeping Up with Oak Mountain Athletics right after this. Beef O'Brady's Brook Highland, located off Highway 280, is a proud supporter of Oak Mountain Athletics and the Keeping Up with Oak Mountain Athletics show. Come out each Wednesday night at 6 p.m. to see the show filmed live on location with various guests involved in Oak Mountain Athletics, and enjoy great food and a great atmosphere, including 99-cent wings. Come on out to Beef O'Brady's Brook Highland and support the Oak Mountain Eagles. Welcome back in. Keeping Up with Oak Mountain Athletics live from Beef O'Brady's Brook Highland, right off of 280. Caleb Brooks now joined by Mason Mitchell, sophomore member of the football team for Oak Mountain, a linebacker. And, you know, Mason, you talked about when you sat right here, I said, you know, are you a sophomore? You said, yeah, we got a lot of them. And you have a lot of your guys in your grade that are having to play. I talked with Cole about it, that you guys have had to step up at an early age. But when you look now back at this season, what has this experience been like for you to have the opportunity to be out there on Friday nights, be under these bright lights, and play against the best region in this whole entire state?
I think it's helped me get a lot stronger, and I learned a lot more. Even if like earlier this year when I didn't play much, I was learning from the sideline and getting better from older guys. It helped us out a lot. And good coaching by Coach Sanford, really helping us learn and understand, taking the time to help me out and help all the other people out.
Yeah, you talk about not getting to play a ton early in the season, that type of stuff, but, you know, coaches talk about it all the time. When your number gets called, you have to be ready, and you have to be ready to go. For you, Obviously, you've now been able to do that. You've had to step in a big role, and now that you've gotten this experience, where do you really kind of feel like the game has probably slowed down the most for you and allowed you to start playing, the way that you want to play out there?
I guess I feel like the games feel a lot.
You want me to
It's
kind of
not-
re-ask it?
Yes, sir.
Where do you kind of feel like the game's just slowed down for you the most out there? Now that you've gotten some experience, you've gotten to be out there, you've gotten to see some of these other teams and see the speed of the game. Where do you kind of feel like it's slowed down the most for you just to play the way that you want to out there?
I really stepped up my physicality, and I think learning how the varsity players are and how physical they are has really helped me, like, try to match their physicality. And I think that's mainly where I am doing that.
When you look at Thompson this past week, obviously a really good football team, and everybody knows what they've accomplished over the last 3 years. How good was that experience to go see a team of that level? Obviously this region's great, but then they're the cream of the crop in this region. So to see the best of the best, be out there with them, how much do you think that's going to benefit you in the next couple of years of playing?
Well, like playing them, they're really good players, and it helped me learn because the other teams aren't as physical or well coached as Thompson is, and they just have a lot of good players, and it helped me get a lot better. And playing against Thompson just helped me out a lot.
Obviously, this season has been a struggle for you guys, with this streak that you guys are on and everything. But what has really kind of kept you guys working hard, has kept your heads up, and has made it where you guys haven't got down? I mean, coaches bragged on how hard you guys have played over the last couple of weeks, even going through this tough time. So what has really kind of kept y'all going and kept y'all together as a group?
I think knowing that he really mentions a lot to have fun, and to me at least, that means a lot because we really do have fun out there. And knowing that we are a younger football team, knowing that we will have that in the next few years, I'm glad because it just means we're only going to get better.
When you look at this week, what have you seen on film from this Vestavia team that kind of stands out to you about them, and what makes them one of the top 4 teams here in this region?
Something that sticks out to me is they're not like overly athletic. They're just really physical. Like on film, I can tell that they're super physical, and they run a lot of plays that we've never seen before. And I think that if we do the little things and not mess up on those little things, like I think we have a chance to pull it off if we just don't mess up on the little things. 'Cause that's what's killing us right now.
How big of an opportunity is for them? I mean, obviously you guys can't get into the postseason now, but you could affect Vestavia getting into the postseason with a win. Is that something that also motivates you guys as a group?
Yes, sir. I think that will give us a boost of confidence at the end of the season, knowing next year we have something to build up on, and just knowing we have a chance to actually win against this really good football team is something to keep in mind. And it's good to know.
When you look at these last 2 weeks, how important are the practice sessions, the reps, the learning, the continuing to get better and better each week? How important do you feel like that is for this group trying to build for the next 2 years?
Can you explain that again?
Just these last 2 weeks right here, this week of practice, next week of practice, how important do you feel like these 2 weeks are in you guys, trying to build towards these next 2 years of football the way that you guys are, and, getting these reps and going out there and taking practice serious and knowing that, you're not, you obviously want to win on Friday night, but you guys are trying to build and trying to work for being really good the next 2 years and having all this experience coming back and stuff.
I think just knowing that the seniors don't have as much time as we do, and kind of knowing that that's their last season, it just pushes us to be a better football team and not take it for granted because they don't have as much time as we do.
What are your biggest keys for Friday night? What is this defense going to have to really focus on the most in order to stop this Vestavia team and be able to come away with a victory?
I think that they're a really good throwing football team. They don't run the ball as well. They have a bunch of power stuff, but we have to stop and like really get. We can't get outnumbered on this boundary or field. We can't get outnumbered for sure, and we can't let up coverages. This is our big problem, and we got to stay on our man. Really, and then we got to also be physical. I think we really need to be more physical with this team because I know they can step it up.
Awesome, man. Well, listen, really appreciate you taking the time to join us here on Keeping Up with Oak Mountain Athletics, and good luck to you guys this week as you guys take on Vestavia. Really look forward to seeing how it goes.
Thank you.
That's going to do it for us here on this week's episode of Keeping Up with Oak Mountain Athletics. We'll be back next week to recap the game with Vestavia and start looking ahead to the last game of the regular season with Spain Park coming up. But stay tuned for more with Average Joe Sports Talk throughout the rest of this week.